So welcome. We're here with David Eaton, and he's one of our VMware subject matter experts. And today we're going to talk about how VMware sees the future of work. What can you tell us, David?
I believe VMware is seeing the future of work as cloud-based and user-centric. So not so much where the data lies, but more of, um, you know, where can that data sit so it gets closest to our users, and so the users have the greatest access to their data and to their tools they need to be successful in their jobs.
So one of the things that has come out of the last couple of years with the move to work from home, obviously the biggest one is that we know there's no going back now.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but one of the things that happened is as workers got dispersed, I think IT started to realize, we need to rethink. To your point, well, how do we get the data and the application in the best location for a given user, not necessarily the organization as a whole, even, but maybe down to specific users in some cases. So, what kind of impact is that having on the IT side in terms of what VMware is developing and offering?
Yeah, I mean, Workspace ONE has really helped enable IT to just be more free to develop their apps. And you can, from an IT standpoint, you can group users together based on maybe, what their job titles are or what their roles are. And you can tie apps and even devices to those individual users. So, you think of, when you come into a new job and there's that onboarding period where you have to procure the hardware, you have to do this, there's all sorts of different things that people need to work from home. Well, 9 times out of 10 people are going to have that technology already in place that they currently use, and Workspace ONE helps those users get up to speed, and they log in and they create like a work profile and they already have their personal profile, and work can only see their work stuff, and they have all the apps that are dedicated to them they can download from an internal app store, that work provides for them. And from an IT standpoint, like those guys, they all they have to do is say, okay, these are the apps that are going to be assigned, from the app store, whatever flavor app store that is, whether it's like Google Play or the iOS store. And you literally just assign those apps to your users. And from an IT standpoint, it's pretty simple. It's these apps are going to be whitelisted. These apps are going to be blacklisted for this user profile, and all these users are tied to that user profile, and that's what they have access to on the work profile. It has nothing to do with the personal side of things. From a user standpoint, they can still download any apps they want. But what's nice is it protects IT, because those apps, anything they do in the work apps, cannot be transferred or copied over to the personal profile. So it keeps that data secure. Even if they do a screenshot, it will black it out. So you can't, copy that data and send company data on the personal side of things. So there's some cool little features that are keeping it enterprise secure, but also very consumer friendly and consumer simple.
And kind of in addition to what we might think of as traditional mobile apps on phones or tablets, uh, our enterprise applications now get presented basically the same way now, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you can if IT develops an application, they can get that deployed out within Workspace ONE to any number of devices. Additionally, with VMware in the Tanzu platform, it's kind of the new buzzword when it comes to VMware. But Tanzu is really going to be breaking out very soon into some, a much larger platform, if you will, kind of a greater space for Tanzu to kind of really shine. But you can run any containerized application, through Kubernetes or Docker or whatever tool you choose to use. You can run those workloads within vSphere. And so some of the beauties of a containerized application is it's in a way it's its own virtual machine. It has everything it needs to run, no matter where it's sitting, whether it's on premise or in the cloud. It doesn't really matter. From a user, it's all based on the user experience. So as long as they get access to the apps that they need, it doesn't matter where it's deployed. it can be deployed on your premise, or it could be deployed with a cloud, provider, whatever flavor you choose.
That sounds like IT is kind of getting their own work from home revolution from the standpoint of because of the way the access that users have now to their line of business applications, et cetera. It's given them a lot more freedom in choosing how to deploy them
Yeah.
and deciding what's the best place for a given workload, and not necessarily building applications based on a data center or a cloud, but really whatever is going to provide the best platform for that application, and then deliver it in a way that's going to provide the best experience for the user.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really that's VMware's kind of methodology is you're already using cloud in your everyday use, like when you log into your checking account, or you log into your social media Facebook account. You're still logging in. None of that data is stored on your device. And so it's the same kind of methodology for IT. Is you don't have to get your entire environment set up in your own data center. You can move that workload from site to site. It's kind of what VMware's new, I guess, term or buzzword now is multi-cloud. So you're going to see multi-cloud a lot more in the next couple months. I'll tell you that. But it's being able to take the application and take the workloads themselves. Whether it's a virtual machine or a containerized application or security or whatever the case would be, and be able to move that workload or that object from site to site to site without losing any of its security, without losing its networking, without losing its ties back to its storage. All of that stuff is going to be determined and figured out when you create that VM. That VM is now a hardened VM. It can be moved anywhere, and it's wherever the users need access. Wherever they happen to be located.
I think you kind of got to a very interesting point there with the kind of the change in mindset from the standpoint of, we used to think about, a virtual machine, a virtual desktop, a container, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it sounds like the VMware is trying to help us adopt the view of workload.
Yeah.
Where it isn't, don't worry about what it actually is, think of about it as a workload, and then use the tools that VMware makes available to run that workload in the best possible way in the most appropriate environment, and deliver whatever that workload does to the users in whatever manner that user chooses to consume it.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, it's workloads, endpoints. That those words are becoming more interchangeable with VMware on a daily basis. So it's really about the freedom of choice. So a customer can choose to run it on their own premises, or they can choose to run it in. I think there's 8 different cloud providers that they're supporting in the next couple months. So it's slowly rolling out to all the different cloud providers. So these cloud providers are taking that that AWS model. So what VMware calls the VMC on AWS, that model is now being developed for every cloud provider out there. So at the end of the day, it's about choice, and it's about being able to run those workloads wherever you want, and it doesn't matter what the workload is.
And in a lot of cases, when we've talked about multi-cloud, usually we talk about, okay, well, what do we need to do to make changes to work on this platform versus that platform?
Yep.
But what you're saying is that VMware is really even in the landscape. So if I build for VMware, it's going to work wherever.
Yeah, it's essentially what it is. So the VMware platform, the vSphere platform, that name's never going away. They would be stupid to get rid of it now. But the vSphere name is going to stick around. And there's a tool that we talked about before a couple months ago called vRealize. Well, vRealize is essentially changing to VMware Aria. And Aria is going to be a multi-cloud management platform that will see all the speeds and feeds, basically, of wherever your environment reside. So maybe you have VMs and workloads running on Google VMware engine, and then you have some workloads running on AWS. You'll be able to see them from a centralized plane and see how they're performing no matter where they're located. And that's really the ARIA is essentially kind of the key to that full cloud deployment, that multi-cloud model, being able to move workloads and transfer workloads from cloud to cloud and from provider to provider. So, I mean, it's exciting to see what can happen. It's we'll see what VMware has in store for us going forward.
And that actually sounds like a perfect way to close out this interview about the future of work from VMware. So thank you very much for your time, David. And needless to say, hopefully we'll hear more from you in the future.